Right, hey guys, it's Liam or Hydrisney here. We're back with another episode of the podcast. This is going to be episode 4, I think, by the time that it gets to you. This is coming off the back of the episode with Martin or Voodoo. Obviously, that was an awesome conversation with a whole heap of really great, inspiring background in the esports industry. And talking to Rodney is going to be just as fantastic. So, Rodney, I'll hand it over to you. Give yourself a quick little intro so everyone knows who you are and what you do.
Absolutely, Liam. Again, thank you so much for having me here. This is going to be very fun for me, hopefully for you too. Hi, everyone. My name is Rodney Valerio. I am currently the co-founder and CEO of Landlords Gaming. It is a Toronto-based. It was a LAN venue at the time, but now we're doing a lot of more online events. I do a lot of work in the Toronto esports industry, helping Overactive Media, aka Toronto Defiant and Toronto Ultra, with their events as well. So a lot of their Warzone events, their Cold War, Call of Duty events, and Toronto Defiance as well with their Overwatch events. I've been around for about 2 years now, working in the Toronto industry. That's when Landlords and my friends opened up that business, and it's been quite the journey ever since we started that. So again, I'm excited to be here and excited to talk about esports all day if we have it.
Yeah, awesome, man. Well, I'm happy to go for as long as the conversation is interesting. So that could be for a while. But let's run straight into that, okay? So I want to get into the landlord side of things and the experience that you've got. But before we do that, I want to get to know you a little bit more. So yes. Give me do you work outside of the esports industry as well? Are you content creating? Give me like what are you doing at the moment?
Yeah. So I'll start from, I guess, basically just my career. Yeah. Before the whole Landlords thing happened, I graduated from Ryerson University with a Bachelor's of Commerce, but in the information technology industry. Cool. I work full time in the software industry right now. I work for a company called Achievers. I'm a technical consultant, so I do that full time during the day. Pays the bills, it pays the rent, it pays everything else, and also my love for gaming, so I can buy things. So that's what I do right now in terms of full time during the day. But in the evenings or after work, a lot of it is dedicated to, yes, like you mentioned, doing some more of my personal contents with streaming, but also supporting Landlords, as well as other community-based events in the Toronto gaming scene, but also abroad. I like to do a lot of production things, and I didn't come to that realization until maybe recently. A lot of the things that we did for Landlords was getting our friends in just to play, getting their friends in, and just enjoying a space. But event hosting and studying what it is to be a host and an administrator for these events, basically what they call a TO, tournament organizer, and then understanding all the type of games and communities that are living and breathing here in Toronto under certain umbrellas such as Halo. Yeah. You see Martin running that side, and there's an FGC community here run by a number of different TOs. So part of the last 2 years as well was me just getting to know everyone and meeting new people. So I mean, that's sort of my history now, leading up to today. So yeah.
Awesome. That's a really good overview. And so what's like the most important stuff to you at the moment? Do you love the job that you're doing in the information technology stuff? Would you want to do more of the esports?
Yeah, so it's interesting. A lot of the I'm a very technical person. I'm just very curious about how tech works. Yeah. And I think that's sort of what alluded to why I do what I do now as a technical consultant in a full-time aspect of my life in that career. That's something that, to me, I feel it will intrinsically just add value to the esports, my other passions in life, because it just keeps my mind awake, one, and just keeps my mind growing, and I'm always trying to find new things to do. So absolutely. I mean, at one point, I would love to, when we're maybe a couple of years down the road and I've got more and more experience with the esports side of production, it would be cool to eventually maybe even move into production as a result. Because a lot of when I'm going through what I like to do or what I like to enjoy and consume as a gamer in terms of the online things, gaming is one of them, but watching events with my friends or even hosting events, online. Those are some of the coolest things I've been able to witness. Watching pro players go crazy, or just having something for the community to work towards. It adds sort of value in terms of what I'm trying to do with esports. So
yeah, that's, I think one of the biggest things that I'm learning is that just as much time as I'm putting into the content creation, I'm putting into the same amount of time into consuming the content as well. You know, watching streams, watching interviews, watching what people are doing, and trying to kind of feed on and absorb what other people are doing so that I can create and do better content as well. So I get it. I so get it. What's the game for you? Because Martin was saying you guys do some fighting stuff as well. Like what's your go-to game if you're going to sit down and just play for a bit?
Oh man, if I was Warzone and Valorant right now are the two games I would just consume and I would just play. Sometimes after at the end of an event, all I'm thinking about is I just want to play Warzone right now. I'm still a gamer at heart, but at the end of the day, it's like, you know, I still want to do work for the community. But yeah, right now Warzone and Valorant are the games right now that I'm trying to grind out. Yeah.
So when you're grinding Warzone, you're just grinding out for wins? Are you trying to finish up some camos? Like what's the...
Yeah, so Warzone right now, it's always trying to keep up with like the meta of what guns is the most powerful and just making sure you're still on top of it. But when you're playing Warzone, yeah, we're trying to get dubs, trying to get wins, trying to get as many kills as you can in the lobby, but also just really vibing out with your friends. It's boring by yourself.
Yeah,
I can't play those type of games by myself, but it's just an excuse again for me and my buddies to just unwind and de-stress from the rest of the day.
Yeah, man, I get it. So what's highest kill game so far?
16 right now. Yeah. I'm not crazy, but that's where the landlord's Warzone team comes in, because they sub me out and they just represent us. I'm just playing for fun.
That's still pretty good. Like you said, if you're just going to chill and you're doing it to relax, man, that's better than average. So, and what's the meta look like at the moment in Warzone?
Yeah,
it had like a DMR Mac 10. I saw like everybody complaining about that for a bit.
Yeah, so that's the greatest thing about it now that they've balanced it out. There's a lot more options that people are still trying to find out what the meta is. We have the people going back to the original Modern Warfare guns like the Kilo or the Grau as well, coming back, but a lot of people are still trying to stick to the DMR, making it work, trying to beat their sense into that gun. But it's a mixed bag right now, which is a great spot for Warzone to be in.
Yeah, because
it's not overpowered. It does require game sense and knowledge at this point, rather than getting carried by an insanely powerful gun. But
yeah.
That's Warzone.
I so get it. I didn't know what people were talking about, and then I watched a few clips and I was like, wow, okay, that's one of the more the obvious things that needed nerfing.
Do you play Warzone often, or is it just like here and there you touch it?
Look, honestly, I've probably played maybe 5 games. I played a whole heap of Blackout, and then
oh, nice.
And then I just honestly, like when I came over here, I didn't get to start gaming much until just recently, and I just kind of get super obsessive, and I set myself a goal and I go for that. So at the moment I'm grinding it for Dark Matter.
Oh hell yeah, let's go.
in Cold War. So I've got a bunch of them done. I'm trying to create like a little YouTube series of like a little montage with each genre of weapon, class of gun when I go through it.
Holy smokes, dude.
Yeah, I'm doing the assault rifles right now, and then I've just got the pistols, the handguns, or whatever they're called, and then that little noob chibi pro pipe thing.
Yeah.
And then I think we're done. I've got to do the rocket launchers, and that's just a grind because you got to.
What? Yeah, like how many hours are you putting in every day? Because I know everyone's talking about how like if you're consistently like 6 hours a day, you can get it out in like 2-3 weeks. It's like.
Not much. I'm probably putting in maybe an hour, 2 hours, and then maybe if my girlfriend's out around dinner time and I get a little bit longer, maybe 3-4 hours. But
that's crazy.
I got stuck for a bit because I loved the snipers so much. I just enjoyed it, and I for some reason just really clicked this game. Like I couldn't be able to quick scope or anything, and I was just hard scoping like in previous CODs, but I really got it this time. So I've been really enjoying that. But when you kind of were growing up, were you always into FPSs, or did you have other genres of games that you played as well? Like what was you gaming when you were younger?
Amazing question. I love that question. Because yes, I've been gaming since I can remember. My first ever memory was playing on the Nintendo, playing Super Mario Brothers 3.
Ooh, yeah.
In this makeshift room that my parents made specifically for my bed and my game, and it was just like a little sliver, man. So yeah, I played. That was what I started with that, and then growing up as a kid, I found myself getting, because I played a lot of sports when I was a kid. I was very much into sports. I played basketball, volleyball, football. I played golf as well.
Wow,
tennis.
everything.
Yeah, I was very much an athletic like person in terms of like my interests. I loved, and that's when I realized like I loved just competing in general. And so when I got into gaming, the first ever game that got me to compete was Counter-Strike. Counter-Strike was
as well, because that game's been around for ages.
I was in grade 8 when I first learned about Counter-Strike. How old are you? 13?
Yeah, something like that. 12, 13.
So I was 12, 13, but forewarning, I'm old. I'm 32 years old. So that was years ago. But yeah, I started in Counter-Strike in terms of competitive. Before that, I was playing just like single player games, 2D games. But when I first played Counter-Strike, that's when my first ever love of FPS came in. And then ever since then, I've been loving FPS shooters. I played the original Call of Duty when it first came out on PC, and that was the first Call of Duty that I started, and happened to be the first one that came out. And I played every Call of Duty since then, since the beginning. FPS has been a thing, but I also dabbled into StarCraft and Warcraft, so RTS games.
Yeah.
That was a big thing in high school as well. And then a bit of MMORPGs as well through high school. So I feel like I've dabbled in a lot of things. I also enjoy single player games. Like top 5 all-time games are all single player games. There's not a single multiplayer game on my list.
Well, now you've said that, I need to know what's the top 5.
Oh shoot. Okay. No particular order. All right.
Yeah.
Shenmue. I don't know if you know that series. Yeah. So Shenmue, it came out on Dreamcast, first ever. Shenmue, the whole Shenmue series. Mass Effect, the first one.
Yeah, cool.
Amazing game. Dragon Age, the original Origins. I don't know if you played that one. And then, what was the 4th one? There was, Red Dead Redemption, the first ever Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah, that was a great game. Yeah.
And then, that was an amazing game. Love that game. And then the first ever one was Metal Gear Solid 1, the first ever Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, awesome. This is a question that I only just thought of earlier today when I was kind of just typing up some stuff to try to ask for. But I know that for me, playing like Pokemon, Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts, those type of games growing up, I kind of got a lot of like personality traits, I think, that I developed like from these games. Is there anything, or like not even that, but just like, ways that you think about life? Like one of the reasons why I came to Canada is that same kind of, drive for adventure that you get from playing literally all of those games that I played. Is there any takeaways from the games that you played when you were a kid that you've kind of found that you've brought on later in life?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of the things, I mentioned this before, a lot of the things that I did growing up was playing sports.
Yeah.
And organized sports as a result. But playing organized sports is very much the same as playing organized gaming, FPS games, for example. So like in that sense, being able to work with a team and understanding how to adapt and how to be a better teammate just basically transcended in my understanding of how it is to just carry yourself in projects and schoolwork or at work as well. Everyone has a different personality, and everyone's perspectives are different based on how they interpret either the game, the sport, the project, the knowledge that we absorb as humans.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks different, and you can't expect everyone to think the same way that you're seeing it. And so every time I played an FPS game with a team, it's always been like a learning experience and understanding that not everyone's going to be as good as you, or you can't be as good as them, but we all have our own strengths that we need to like recognize. And when we just do a lot more reflecting of who we are as a person, it basically can just transcend into anything that you're doing in just in life, in your daily jobs, because you're working with clients.
And I've also just thought about it just then as like in certain games, you have the characters that have a certain role that they have to play.
Exactly.
Well, just to find a way to connect it, because we've been working with one of our sponsors, PH360. They're like a health technology company and trying to get gamers and people like a bit more active and have better balance in life. And one of the things we've been talking about to them is they have this awesome tool that lets you kind of find out what type of genotype you are. And then you can make better decisions on like a health style. And so we've been saying, instead of calling it things like, they've got, commander and that type of stuff, that's like their names for the groups. I want to try and create them so that you've got like the rogue and the warlock that type of thing, and make it more like gaming orientated, so people are more interested in like, hey, what gaming, what character would I be rather than what genotype am I. So but that was a really cool answer to that question. What I wanted to know, so you're doing content creation yourself, you're doing YouTube, Twitch, like what type of content stuff do you put out?
So a lot of it is just being so I was doing a lot of just personal content on Twitch. I found that I enjoy watching story driven games when I'm watching Twitch, when I'm watching people stream competitive, Valorant or Warzone. Yeah, it's fun, but there's no continuity there for me. It's like, it's just absorb it and then you're gone. But for me, because story-driven games are one of my foundations of growing up, I love story-driven games. I wanted to do more of that on my personal stream, but that's been something that is a bit put on hold now because Landlords has been picking up with a lot of events. So now I'm just focused on creating content for Landlords now with the whole production aspect of things. But personally, I mean, I stream on Twitch. I don't do it as often anymore, but when I did, it was a lot of playing. What was I playing? I was playing Mafia. I played the Uncharted series 1 through 4 because I've never played it, and everyone was bugging me to play it. So yeah,
there you go. Awesome, man. Well, we'll have to drop some links in for everyone so they can go and find all the content for Landlords Gaming, but then also yourself. I think that's a really good segue as well into Landlords Gaming. So we talked about it a little bit before we jumped in, and it's an awesome story. So run me through how Landlords Gaming kind of came up, what it is, what does it do? Give me the whole story.
Yeah, absolutely. So Landlords Gaming, the whole concept behind it was LAN parties, right? Being able to go to someone's basement, go to your friend's basement, bring your PCs or your consoles over and just game for 10 hours straight. On a weekend. This was something that I did back in high school with the original Halo, with Halo 1 on the Xbox. When we first did that was my first ever like experience of what in the world is this? This is different. This is gaming on a whole different level.
Yeah.
And then me and my buddies were just kind of talking at the time in high school. It's like, man, I wish there was a place where we can just go to and then just do it there rather than like having haul your equipment over and just, setting up. It takes always hours making sure everything works. So that idea came out in high school, but it didn't come to fruition until I met a buddy of mine after high school. We didn't really do gaming. We didn't game together at the time. We actually were doing other things, which is probably another question I can answer after. But it's like basically, what did I do outside of gaming? But we did a lot of things outside of gaming. And then we introduced him into Overwatch and on PS4, and I was playing a ton of Overwatch at the time because I loved it. And then I introduced him into it, and then he loved it. And then we started playing together at each other's places. We brought our systems over, and then I introduced him to this concept. Like, by the way, this is called a LAN party. I don't know if you know what this is.
Yeah.
And he's like, really? This is the most insane thing ever. It's like, it's a whole different experience. I'm like, yeah. Imagine having a place where it's like this, and you can go. It's like, yeah. And like, yeah. And then we start talking about it, and then it just came up like that. Let's do it. Like, we're at a time in our lives where we have a career. We have like people to support us. We've been gaming I've been gaming for a while. His dad is the owner of a business that is in Toronto, and they have chains. So he has a business background on being able to make that work. So we figured out all the logistics, and there's like, let's do it. We just pushed that button, started doing design work and doing a lot of prep work behind it. And then boom, landlords came up and we just wanted to have fun with it. So that was how landlords started essentially.
I love it. So, and then what, as far as like, this is something that I'm interested in from the business perspective.
Yeah.
How did you, what was the first place? Did you guys do some online stuff first and like kind of build a following and then go, all right, we're going to get a location, or did you guys go straight into the location?
Yeah. So what we did specifically was we literally just built up the location, and we in tandem we started our social media pages at the same time, started teasing it and releasing, I guess, teaser pictures of the location, because we were literally building up the place. We rented we found a venue that was like a good enough size for us to be able to do our things, very considerably cheap for rents, because it was downtown Toronto, near a subway station, and we literally just built it with our own hands, from the ground up. We started with that. When we built it, we were just literally just focused on just having people come out. Online events didn't come until, or just events in general didn't come until maybe 6 months later, where people started investing interest, like, yo, you guys should host tournaments. I'm like, oh, I never really thought of it. You know, a lot of it is engaging with the community and what they wanted for out of the venue. And then the first thing that we did was the Smash Brothers tournament. And that was huge, because there was like, holy smokes, all these people play Smash.
So how many people were you getting in the actual, and so it's downtown Toronto?
It was.
With COVID, do you guys still have the location there at the moment, or?
No, so we had to close the venue last year because we weren't able to keep up with with the rent, and for us being closed, we wouldn't be able to pay that off. And even with the government assistance, it's up. If we were to decide up till now, we would be like probably 7, 6, 8 months in debt just to keep that up. Yeah. So we had to cut ties with the venue, and sold all our equipment. And then as a result, we wanted to still do something because everything else was going online. And then we hosted our first ever online tournament with Mortal Kombat. And then we did more FGC stuff. We did Tekken tournaments online. And then we transitioned into more things. We did Warzone tournament. We did a Valorant tournament. We did some Overwatch. So ever since we closed, we've been doing a lot of online events since then. Yeah.
And so when you guys were open, what was like the biggest turnout that you had at the actual venue?
So the venue had like at max, it was 60 people capacity at max. Like we can't have any more because it was like shoulder to shoulder. Yeah. This was like, theoretically speaking, in terms of like a fire hazard. Mm-hmm. For a Smash weekly, we had 72 people come out. I'm like, how did we fit 72 people in here? This is insane.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So that was fun.
The vibe in that place must have been insane for that.
Oh, it was loud. It was sweaty. It was very, very warm. But it was a lot of fun. Everyone enjoyed their time. And even though it was a bit tight, a bit cramped, it kind of added to the experience, because you're kind of watching other people play at the same time while you're there talking to your friends, watching someone play, and they're like basically right in front of you. And it's top tier talent as well that came out. And so a lot of people got the opportunity to talk to each other. Versus I heard some like other Smash tourneys where it's very spacious, but because it's so spacious, there's little opportunity for you to be forced to talk to people. Yeah. And so it kind of like this tight space, kind of like you're right next to you, might as well just talk because you're here for Smash. You have a similar topic. Just boom, you guys are friends. Yeah. You know, so it was awesome.
Yeah, I love that. And so, okay, so COVID threw a spanner in the works and you started doing some more online stuff. Where to from here?
Yes. So luckily and thankfully, when we closed our venue, there was another venue in Toronto that pretty similar to what we were doing, except they were more PC centric, and they've been open for a while now, and they've been doing pretty good. We've been open for like a year and a half, 2 years before we had to close, and they wanted to dive more into esports. And because we started doing esports and we got traction, we built a community. They invited us to their space and basically told us, hey, if at any point you want to host events for when the pandemic is over, we'd be more than happy to be your spot. So we essentially talked it out, talked about what our plan was, what we wanted to do if we were still open. And we were like, you know what? This can basically be our new home. Landlords events can be held here now, and it's still in downtown Toronto. So it's still a familiar place. And so, yeah, they're a big partner of ours. They're called Invictus Game Station.
Invictus Game Station.
Yeah, cool. Invictus Game Station. It's by Young and Wellesley.
Cool.
So make sure to check them out. I'm always shouting them out because they're so gracious enough for us to, host our offline events once we're ready to be there. And it's a much bigger space than ours, much nicer. so that's the plan. But
looking at it now, man, it looks incredible.
Yeah. It's very PC centric. A lot of League of Legends players go out there, international students as well. A lot of people come from Ryerson or U of T, University of Toronto students come over there to get their gaming in. So it's a very good spot.
Yeah, I love it. Well, that's definitely worth checking out. So anyone that's listening, I'll leave a link to Invictus Game Station down below. If you're in Toronto as well, it'll be a place to check out. Obviously, when landlords are holding a tournament there, it'll be good to get over and check it out. So that's really cool. So in the meantime, you're going to keep doing some online events as well?
Yeah, so we've done a lot of work for other people as well. And in terms of production aspects,
I think that's what I was going to ask now as well. That's something we were talking about it before. That's like the Toronto Ultra and the Defiant and
yes,
the Overactive Media.
Exactly. So while Landlords is still working like on the back end, we're also helping with Toronto Ultras, Warzone tournaments, Cold War tournaments, any other Toronto Ultra based events.
Yeah.
Which is basically me. I'm helping Martin. Martin's also one of the lead tournament organizers for them, just helping them out on the back end with administrative stuff. And we were also doing work for Toronto Defiant in their most recent tournaments called the GOATS tournament. And we helped them broadcast like basically a second feed, like an ESPN2 broadcast on our channel. And we helped them host that tournament. It was a lot of fun stuff to do with those two organizations.
Yeah. So what's working with them like? Is it they kind of hit you up and say, all right, we're going to run this event. Can you do it? Or do they give you like a whole heap of, these are kind of what we want done? Or
yeah. So Martin, Martin and I worked together for basically all of those events. And anytime Toronto Ultra, specifically Toronto Ultra, wants to do an event, they let Martin know. And then Martin basically strategizes the events, and I would help him strategize how to run the events, how to run the point system, how to administer the event. So working with Martin in tandem with working with Toronto Ultra was very fun. A lot of the people over at Toronto Ultra are really cool people. Yeah. Their production team, which is basically who we were working with, all very, very knowledgeable, very, very fun to talk to, very nice, which is a bit of you don't find that often with production teams, because I can talk about it later, but I had an experience with another production team, which it was kind of rough with that. And they were pretty big too, but Toronto Ultra and Toronto Defiant guys, that experience was very much learning what everyone's processes are like, because everyone does things differently.
Yeah. And so I'm curious, do you get paid from them when you're doing that, or is it more just an experience thing?
No. So those ones are specifically contracted opportunities, essentially, you could say, because a lot of it is also working with an official, like their official broadcast team. And so they want to make sure that they're hiring the right people. And so a lot of it is networking. So they knew Martin, and Martin knew me because we've been working with events, and I've been doing a lot of landlord stuff. So we understand how things work on the tournament organization perspective.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of these were paid gigs.
Awesome. Cool. Love to hear that. Because I mean, it's the type of thing that when people, I think, get involved, with like the competitions that we've run or the Greater Toronto's run, and that type of thing, they don't realize that those type of competitions, no one's getting paid. Like we didn't make a single dollar off anything.
Yep.
We put up all the prize money ourselves, all the advertising money, everything ourselves. And it's really awesome though to get to talk to you, somebody who's actually getting, in a position to be working with someone who is paying for those opportunities as well, because it shows a difference, like that kind of different levels of competition and tournament organizing, which
it's kind of important that you mentioned that, because although all the events that are happening, even with GT Halo, or even as well with Landlords, a lot of the work that we do is free. Like we we it because one, we love the game, but two, the experience basically almost one-to-one in the sense of what you do when you're hosting these community events that are free and you fork up the prize pool. You're not doing it for money. You're not really doing it for clout. At the end of the day, you're doing it because it's going to make you a better administrator or producer or observer, depending on your role in those community events. That 100% translates to all these paid opportunities that are out there. You just got to keep doing them, and then someone will reach out, or you'll network as a result of building these communities, and then word of mouth transpires, and then you'll get called up. You know what I mean? Like it'll happen. Like you will get paid just as long as you putting in the work, like you said.
Exactly. Yeah. So give me a bit of an overview. There's obviously must have been that's a whole heap of experience that we've just kind of covered in the last 5-10 minutes. Yeah. What are kind of some of the biggest takeaways? Have you had anything that's really come up as like a roadblock and that was really difficult to kind of get through?
Yeah. So there's one thing. Once you understand how tournaments work and how to admin, for example, do seating for placements and set up a bracket, being able to communicate with the players, like once we have the whole base foundation of how to run a tournament, the other aspect of running a tournament is, like I said before, and it connects, working with other people. Because although, you try your best to try to, I'll admit this, I'm a bit of a control freak sometimes when it comes to these things, because I just want everything to be perfect.
Yeah.
But delegating tasks and trusting people to do that task has been the roadblock is being able to trust it in the beginning, in the first place. And then the other part is finding the right people to do it. Making sure that your mindset or the people that you work with, the mindset are similar. That's been a bit of a roadblock, because some people are doing it for, I wouldn't say the wrong reasons, but just in a different way. Compared to how I would like to personally run events and tournaments. So when I'm volunteering my time, my perspective is always like, I'm a student. I'm always learning, no matter what position I'm in, no matter what events I'm doing. Even if I'm like a producer for like a big event, I'm still a student, because there's always someone else above me that's basically running the show. And you have to adapt to those people. Because when you're working for someone, especially in this industry, and if my personality is any indication, there are other people like me that want to like almost rule with an iron fist, but they're just very specific on what they want to do. So being able to adapt as quick as you can and understanding people, you'll have a much better time getting through these events.
Yeah. I think that's a really good thing to kind of touch on. First of all, is I think that there's a big part of the esports community, and we get hit up by people a lot, and we're not even that big, that are wanting something like they just want a handout. They want us to shout them out on the profile. They think they deserve to get have us like it just have us do something for them. One group wanted us to run a competition and put in some prize money, and I said, okay, well, what do we get out of it? I wasn't even entertaining it. I was just trying to help them have the conversation in a better way. And so I think for everybody that's listening to this podcast, I think a really valuable thing to understand is that you have to add value. Like if you're trying to be a part of the esports industry in any way, shape, or form, even if you're just a streamer or putting up stuff on YouTube, or you're trying to organize events like what Rodney and Martin do, you have to be adding value. And if you're not adding value, then you can't be asking for anything in return. And exactly like Rodney said before, you have to put years worth of work into something before people can start to see that value. If you've only done something for a month and you're already starting to ask for something, there's no way anyone's going to take it seriously. If you've only been doing something for a couple of weeks, or even if you've done it for 6 months, right? But you haven't actually given anything to anybody else in doing that, it's going to be very hard to take you seriously when you ask for something from an organization or from a tournament organizer, or even if you're asking for another content creator to do something with you. If you're not adding any value, no one wants to be a part of it. So I think, it's awesome to hear you say that as well, because I think that that's one big thing that could save a lot of people time in the esports industry, is that if they started to think a little bit more like, okay, what value am I bringing to this, to the scene? If someone's sitting there and thinking, I want to start up an organization, or I want to start running tournaments, or I want to start doing this, that I think is a really big question to kind of run through your head, is what value am I going to be bringing to the scene by doing this? And if you're thinking, oh, I'm going to run some events and I'm bringing value because, I'm going to have this event, but there's no prize money to it, there's no thing for it, and I'm going to just beg people to sign up to it. Like, you have to understand that that's just like, don't do it. Don't be another person that's cheapening the esports industry. Instead, you could spend some time coming to someone like myself or Martin or Rodney or any of the guys that you see actually putting the work in for a long time and investing their money into it, and volunteer your time and say, what can I do to be a part of this? And what can I do that's going to help make your event better? And once you've done that, right, you get experience and people start to know who you are, and you build up some respect. And then you can turn around and you can say to me, hey, Liam, I want to run my own competition. I'm going to be like, let's do it. What do you want to do?
Exactly. Your reputation starts to precede you at that point.
Oh, 100%. And that's not even something that you have to be doing for that long. That's just something that is really important to come off like you want to add value and you want to be a part of something, more so than you're trying to get something out of it for free. So awesome to hear you say that, man, because I think a lot of people really need to hear that. And I think that's such a valuable, and I don't think people are wrong when they're doing those things. I just don't think they've ever had anyone tell them, and I think they're just thinking, they're just trying to get ahead. They're just trying to start, but they don't know what to do.
So the thing with that mentality as well, if they don't, heed any of this advice, is they'll realize themselves they're going to be uninterested. They're going to lose passion for it and all the dedication to continue to do it, because the results that they're getting is not what they're looking for. And then you'll just see themselves out in like 2 to 3 months. There goes that organization, or there goes that TO, because they never actually understood what it's like to put in, value and then wait for all that hard work to culminate at the end. They just want, and which is the problem of this generation, is instant gratification. And that's always been an underlying issue with a lot of these, people volunteering for stuff or creating organizations. Like, oh, if they can do it, then I can do it. But it's like, look what they did first, before understand their history before you just start it.
Yeah, exactly. So everyone watching, if you want to do anything like that, there's 2 people right now, and there's a comment section that you can drop below in, and you can ask, how do I start and what can I be a part of? Because I'm sure we've both got events and things coming up that you can help with, and that we'd both be more than willing to give someone a chance, to actually start being a part of the scene and a part of the community. So really good to cover that. As far as like yourself, what are your goals that you're working towards at the moment? I'm super big when I'm talking to the new recruits and anyone that wants to be involved with Divine Mind about having some kind of goals and something that you're working towards. So what's like your kind of thing at the moment that you're working towards?
So right now, what I'm working towards now is becoming an even more seasoned and technologically knowledgeable producer for all of our events. I didn't actually realize I wanted to do this until the pandemic, until we were forced to do things online. Because when I was doing offline events at Landlords, we were streaming it, right? And every time we were streaming it, when we first started, it started with like a laptop and like very, very jank setup, but it worked. And then, but the value or the feeling that I got from it after the event was like, oh, this actually feels really cool. So I found that streaming and producing was something I naturally just wanted to continue pursuing and being better at. And so now the dream right now is hopefully one of these days I want to produce for other people a big tournament for let's say like Toronto Defiant. That's as an example.
Yeah.
You know, being able to help them produce their events, being able to help Toronto Ultra produce. Because when I work with Toronto Ultra and Toronto Defiant, I'm doing administrative work.
Yeah.
But when we're talking about,
when you say production, what's
Yes.
what type of production goes into an event?
Good question. So in terms of production, when I talk about production, I'm talking about running the entire broadcast for the stream.
Okay.
When designing overlays, getting graphics, managing the entire like feed on the stream with a lot of the with the casters being involved, getting all the observers into one feed and being able to hold all of it work cohesively.
Yeah.
As a production manager. So executive producer is like the role essentially, and they basically manage and direct the flow of the show.
Yeah.
So what the casters talk about and everything.
Yeah. And what do you need to do to get better at that? Like, what are you kind of focusing on to improve at that?
Yeah. Honestly, start understanding the technology behind how to stream and how to run a production, and then host your own mini event, even if it's just your friends. I mean, that's how I started. Like, grab a group of like 4 people, have them play for something, put up, I don't know, $100 or $50, $20, have them play for it. And then you build your experience by hosting that tournament and running your own production, and how overlays and transitions and how to block, how to structure programs within, you know, a show like that you can do on your own. It's very much easily accessible experience as long as you're able to just set it up. Yeah.
And so what type of programs do you use when you're doing that? Do you use something like OBS or?
Yeah. So it's as the stream started to evolve, started to use OBS as well as other third-party applications. Investing in a lot of the technology and the hardware is where most of the time went. But yeah, right now in terms of software, it's OBS, and I use Discord as well for casting. You can use Zoom as well for the video feed. There's a lot of different ways to do the same thing on production. It's just finding what is suitable and easy for you to manage. So, but those are where I start.
Yeah. And I love that, because it's something that I've been thinking about, even just with like the podcast, right? Is thinking about how can I put some kind of overlay into this, or how can I do it so that when you're looking at it, or you know, even when you're listening to it, you know, there might be an intro sound, there might be an overlay to it, there might be something that's, you know, encouraging people to, you know, like some kind of you know, take some action on what they're going to do, like a call to action. And it's a really interesting thing to learn more about. It's one of the things that I think anybody should kind of put a little bit of time into, because even if you're just an individual streamer, that type of thing can really help, especially transitions. But so are you just YouTubing stuff, or are you doing some courses, or like what do you do to kind of find more?
Yeah, so a lot of it is definitely YouTube. Some of the content that I consume on twitch.tv is very much like streamers who would answer your questions live. If you have any technical questions, that like, how did you do this? How do you do that? And they'll most of the time will answer it. And putting yourself in the community as well, in the broadcast community, or people who understand, or people who know what it's like to produce something, when you're building that network and you're being able to talk to the right people, putting yourself in that position definitely helps you become more knowledgeable and just understand what you need to do. So yeah, a lot of the things I do is just watch stuff on YouTube, watch people on stream do things. But then I also do, this is part of the reason why I do my own personal stream, because I can experiment it on my own personal stream, because there's no pressure. I can just do whatever I want. Yeah. And then it translates into, which is recently what I did. So
yeah. And I mean, that's super important as well, because what you just talked about then is and one of the reasons why I asked this question at the start is like you had a goal, like you've got a goal, you've gone, okay, this is my action plan, which is like learning what I want to improve, etc. And then you've applied it. And the application is what so many people miss, right? They can watch videos for hours, they'll do whatever, but then they don't actually ever apply anything. So I think that's a really valuable thing to see in someone like yourself who's really successful. Is, you know, you have to make sure that you're doing goal setting the whole way through. What's the goal? Right. What's the action plan? And how do I apply it, so that I can test and measure that I'm improving? So that 6 months from now, am I better? You know, is the production quality of what I'm doing better? Yeah, and
1,000%.
You know, yeah, that's the whole way through. So tell me more about, like, what's the future look like for you?
Future right now is hopefully I can go outside and, you know,
same.
You know, be able to walk without having to get accosted by, you know, the virus at any point, because
yeah,
it's kind of scary. But in seriousness, right now the goal is, I am, like you said, in terms of applying other things or applying what I'm trying to improve on, I am reaching out to anyone else, and I recently did with an Overwatch tournament, anyone else that's hosting a tournament, and offering my help to them. And the more I'm able to do that, the more value, like you said, I'm able to provide, and the more experience, as it's twofold, the more experience I get out of it.
Yeah.
In terms of my whole production, executive producer type dream. So that's going to be the next few months, even going into the next year, in terms of what I'm doing. So yeah, that's what it is.
Awesome, man. And so I've got one last question. Also two more questions. One, this is like a big question that I've been really enjoying asking everybody, and so you don't have to answer it straight away. But so you can have a little bit of time to think about it, and thoughts might come while you're talking to kind of keep going on it. So that's fine. But you know, what I love thinking about is like, what is the dream Rodney look like? You know, so if you think of yourself in 5-10 years from now, and the perfect scenario, you know, are you someone that's driving a Lamborghini around? Have you got a huge house? You know, is Landlords Gaming got a huge setup with like 500 TVs and a big, you know, stadium around it? You know, what does that dream reality look like for you? You know, you're wearing suits everywhere. You're exercising heaps. You got a gorgeous girlfriend on your arm. Like, what's the dream for Rodney?
Man, that's actually, wow. Big question. It's sort of hard to see the future. Obviously you can't, but if I were to see myself where I want to be, and I'm be like, all right, this is what I want to do. This is where I'm at. I'm happy. Honestly, like, as corny and cheesy as it sounds, but I would love to be able to almost lead or be part of a community where everything that I've learned, I'm able to pass it on to other people, and they can teach other people in that community, and being able to just be one of the people that people go to for questions regarding this kind of stuff for esports, because gaming is such a big passion of mine. And esports is also very much a part of it. I would just love to just help anywhere I can with what I know, because I don't want everything that I'm learning to just go out the drain when I get to like 50 years old or 60 years old. Like, I'd like a legacy to be built based on everything that we've learned, and then other people can take from it and learn from it. It's just, and they feed into it, and they take it and they feed it. It's just a loop of good vibes of a community. And
so a big thing you see yourself wanting to be in the future is a leader of the community, and someone that people can come to with questions, so that you can help them to bring more value to the community as well.
Yeah. The reason why I say this is because in my past experiences, I've always been doing a lot of community things. Before I was into gaming, I was in the arts. I was a hip hop dancer, and I performed and competed for 10 years. And I started.
Have you got any clips of that?
No. Oh. Yes. I don't want to say yes, but it's there somewhere on YouTube. But it's I've been always trying to cultivate something out of a passion. And before gaming, it was dance, and I was doing hip hop. And at Ryerson University, I started a mini dance community. That was in 2007, and it's still going to this day.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. It's what I talked about with gaming. It's happening in the dance community right now, where they've continuously passed on the legacy to other leaders and other dancers. So that part of my dance dream fulfilled. Yeah. I'm so happy that's happening. Yeah. And then as well, I ran a dance company as well, that competed, and they've been around for like 16 years before I started gaming. So that was another thing that that sort of alludes to that part of it. So now I want to do the same thing with the whole gaming industry, being able to have a community where it just feeds itself, which is what happened at the other dance community.
Yeah. So how many people, like, what's a big community look like for you? How many people do you want involved?
As many as that wants to be involved, in terms of being like, they want to learn, but they also want to teach as well. People who come in with the similar attitude is good enough. Like, as long as you're passionate about it, it's cool. Like, I would say for we called it Studio 2 Dance Crew. That was the community thing. Yeah. It started off with like 8 people, and now it's actually like real people. It has, I think, 700 people.
Wow.
That come out to these dance classes, and they just alternate. Yeah. It's a lot. But they're managing it, and yeah, that's what's been happening now. So for this community, I'm hoping for a similar thing where people like you or people like Martin or anyone else in the community can come for leadership advice or that kind of thing.
Yeah. Awesome. I just want to keep learning so that I can add more value into the community. So I'm always going to be, I mean, now that we've spoken and I know I can talk to you and that you're a human, I'm always going to be in your ear asking questions and trying to learn and get some value. So that's awesome, man. Well, so there's one other question that I ask everybody as well, and that is getting you to kind of tag someone or nominate someone that you think would add some value to the conversation. Doesn't have to be, obviously doesn't have to be Halo related, but it can be business related, but also, something to do with tying in with esports or kind of chasing your dreams and that type of thing. Who do you reckon would be good to kind of chat to next?
Yeah. I've thought about this, and it's such a hard question. Yeah. But I think a good example, I kind of want to give more just I guess a different perspective on the whole esports side of it, but it's still valuable experience. Her name's Wisdom.
Okay.
Dominic. She works for Toronto Ultra. Mm-hmm. And she was the GM of Toronto Ultra, and it was like the face of the team. And like, we know each other and we've worked together, and the experiences that she's had has taught me a lot in terms of being able to work with people at her level, or the professionals that she's surrounded by. So the way that she holds herself as a person is amazing. So I think she'd be a great person to have.
Excellent. Well, Wisdom, Dominic. Is it Dominic or Dominique or?
Dominic.
Dominic. Yeah, awesome. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to be in your DMs. I'm going to be reaching out. It'd be good if you could connect us as well, just so it's easy for me to find.
Yeah, I will.
And because I mean, this is exactly what I wanted to do, is be able to bounce off and kind of get to know more people and bring more value to the esports community. And like, this conversation that we've had has gone from being able to find somebody who just loved playing games when they were in high school, had this dream of turning LAN games into a business, did that successfully, and has now got this awesome idea of where they want to go in production quality and working in producing, world quality events that are going, around the globe. So it was absolutely fantastic talking to you. I can't wait to see more of the work that you get done as well.
Thank you.
Where can people find you? We've got some ats that you want to drop, or we'll put it in the description, but anywhere you want to direct people to? Yeah,
Twitter. You can find me on Twitter, twitter.com/the Rods. E is a 3, the Rods, but at the Rods. Twitter is where I'm most active, and you'll be able to follow me there. I also have a Twitch, but all that information is on my Twitter. So.
Awesome, cool. And we'll add it down below. So if you're watching on the podcast, you just have to click the see more version of the description. Same with on YouTube, we'll have it in there. But it was absolutely fantastic to talk with you, man. I had a blast. I feel like I got a lot out of that. And, is there anything that you wanted to add in before we finish up? Anything else that you wanted to talk about?
Thank you, Liam, honestly, for doing this for us, because Martin and I always talk about this. A lot of the back end scenes or behind the scenes people, we just grind out the work. We don't really do it for any spotlight, but having these conversations, there's stories that we want to tell, which I'm sure Martin has been giving you in the previous one, a lot of things that we want to talk about. But yeah, this is giving us an opportunity to shed light on it. So thank you for doing this.
100%, man. And there's only so much that we can cover in these kind of bite-sized things. But I've got in my head that it'll probably be maybe like a 6-month kind of rotation. I'll touch base with a few people that were kind of standouts, and we'll see what's happened in that 6 months, and how much closer are they to that dream of for you having a community where you can be more of a leader. Check in on the production quality of everything that you're doing as well. So like it's something that we'll keep touching base with every now and again, and hopefully we'll get to tell more of those stories. We'll get to see and see each other in person. We're saying I can't wait to shout you and Martin a beer or whatever whatever is the beverage of choice for you guys. And I'm looking forward to, as soon as we finish up this call, I'm gonna ask you about something that we can maybe work together on. So
sure, absolutely. Oh my gosh.
I love the idea of just bringing more value to the community. So thank you so much for being here. Everybody that's watching this, thank you so much for watching this. We had a blast chatting. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as we did. I'd love you guys to leave a comment below and just let us know what you thought about the overall thing. If there are any questions or topics that you'd like us to cover next time, and just be involved, be a part of the conversation. And like we said, if there's anyone out there that wants to be a part of the esports scene or work with us, just leave a comment below and I'll see if there's a place that you can add some value to us, and we'll get to working with you. But thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate everybody being here.
Take care.